Hello to everyone. So, in continuation with the last lecture in which I told about the vascular events of inflammation. So, there are basically two events of inflammation involving the blood vessels. First is vasodilatation, in which the caliber of the blood vessels increases, and second is the increased vascular permeability. So, because of the increased vascular permeability, which is caused due to endothelial retraction and endothelial cell damage, there is increased leakiness of the blood vessel. So there are certain implications of that vascular leakage which I shall be discussing. So when the blood vessels they become more permeable and more leaky, so there is leakage of fluid, then plasma proteins and blood cells into the extravascular space, also called the interstitial space. And when there is this leakage, it is known as exudation. This is important, exudation. So exudation is responsible for the cardinal sign of swelling or tumor in case of inflammation. So the leakiness of the blood vessels leads to the seepage of fluid, proteins and cells into the extravascular space, and this is known as exudate, responsible for swelling or tumor, cardinal sign of inflammation. So again, this image, it depicts this exudate. So this is the blood vessel. So this is a site of inflammation. Here the vessel has become dilated, so the blood has become little static here, and there is increased leakiness of the blood vessels due to increased vascular permeability. Now these cells and proteins, they will leak out of the blood vessel into the interstitial space, and this is known as exudate. Now an important difference is asked in the viva and also in the exams, that what is the difference between exudate and transudate. So in both exudate and transudate, there is increased fluid in the extravascular or interstitial space, but there is a difference. So what happens in a normal blood vessel, there are two opposing forces inside the blood vessels. The blood is exerting the hydrostatic pressure onto the walls of the blood vessel, while because of the plasma proteins inside the blood vessels, there is a opposing colloid osmotic pressure. So what happens in case there is decrease in the colloid osmotic pressure or increase in the hydrostatic pressure, there will be fluid leakage, but the walls of the vessel, they are intact. So only fluid leaks across the blood vessel because of the increased hydrostatic pressure, which can be due to causes like venous outflow obstruction or congestive heart failure due to certain obstructive causes, or because of loss of protein. Suppose this protein has decreased in case of certain kidney diseases like nephrotic syndrome, or in certain liver diseases. When such thing happens, there is increased hydrostatic pressure and decreased oncotic pressure. This will lead to fluid leakage. So this fluid in the interstitial space, it is increased, but it is poor in cells and poor in proteins. This is known as transudate. And exudate is what I already told you in case of inflammation. When the blood vessels are leaky, so proteins as well as cells, they leak out of the blood vessel and reach the interstitial space, and this is known as exudate. So basically the fluid in exudate is protein and cell rich, while it is poor in cells and proteins in case of transudate. And causes of exudate are mostly inflammation and also in certain malignancies. So there is a table explaining the differences between transudate and exudate. So besides the mechanism is different in case of transudate and exudate. Transudate is due to the increased vascular permeability. Exudate is due to increased hydrostatic pressure or decreased oncotic pressure inside the blood vessel. Capillary wall will be intact in case of transudate, while it is damaged, as I told you earlier that there is endothelial cell damage in case of inflammation. So it is damaged and it is leaky in case of exudate. So because it is leaky, so there is high content of inflammatory cells, neoplastic cells as well as proteins in case of exudate, while it will be low or absent in case of transudate. Now specific gravity, which depends on the content of the solute content of that fluid, it will be more in case of exudate because it is rich in proteins, while it will be less in case of transudate. So there is a cutoff value less than 1.015 for transudate and more than 1.015 for exudate. Now protein content is again low in case of transudate, while it will be high, already explained. And then fluid to serum protein ratio will be more in case of exudate and low in case of transudate. And also the fluid to serum LDH ratio will be more because cellular content of exudate is more. So again it will be more in case of exudate and less in case of transudate. So these are the important differences often asked in viva and also sometimes in theory. Now another clinical implication of this exudate and transudate is edema. So edema, what is it is asked in viva sometimes in the grand viva, that what is edema. So it is an excess of fluid in the interstitial tissue, and it can be either an exudate or a transudate. Cause can be either exudate or transudate, but the clinically they will present as the excess of fluid in the interstitial tissue, and they will present as swelling. Now again another viva question is what is pus. So pus is also a exudate which is purulent in nature. So purulent means it has pus. And what is pus? It is an inflammatory exudate which is rich in WBCs, mostly neutrophils, and along with that there are debris of dead cells, that is cell debris, and also microbes. So this is what is pus is constituting. So they asked what is pus. So pus is a mixture of WBCs, cell debris, and microbes, and it is a type of purulent exudate. So there is a clinical picture of pus filled blisters. Now another important clinical aspect is the edema fluid. Whenever it gets accumulated in the form of exudate, so it generally gets drained by the lymphatic channels which are draining that area. So sometimes those lymphatics can also get secondarily inflamed. So in that case it is known as lymphangitis. So see, this is an area of inflammation, and these are lymphatics which are draining this area into the axillary lymph node. So you can see that this area is inflamed, showing inflammation. Then again the lymphatics are also showing inflammation. So this is lymphangitis, and sometimes the lymph nodes also get inflamed. So then it is known as lymphadenitis, and which is caused the lymphadenitis which is caused by the inflammatory causes. It is known as reactive lymphadenitis. So this is also a clinical aspect of inflammation, lymphangitis and lymphadenitis. So the in this scenario, the microbes and the cell debris and the inflammatory cells, they find their way from the site of inflammation to the lymphatics and the lymph nodes, the draining lymph nodes. So this is again a clinical example showing a reactive lymph node. This is a cervical lymph node showing inflammation. Now what purpose does this vascular events have? So the purpose of vasodilatation and the increased vascular permeability is, first of all, to slow down the blood flow. So when it slows down the blood flow, it is known as stasis. So stasis causes increased redness, the cardinal sign rubor, and because of this stasis, the WBCs, especially the neutrophils, they will accumulate along the margins of the blood vessels, and this process is known as margination. So this event of margination is very important. We will study in detail in the cellular events. So this shows that the vascular events, they are facilitating the cellular events. So vasodilatation and permeability increased, it causes the slowing down of the blood flow, known as stasis, and stasis will cause the WBCs to accumulate along the margin of the blood vessel. This is known as margination. In this image shows margination. So the WBCs, they come to lie at the margins of the blood vessels, and subsequently they will also emigrate from this blood vessel and go out to the site of inflammation. This is a H&D picture of a blood vessel, which is lined by these endothelial cells. The endothelial cells, they are spindle shaped. So this is a blood vessel lined by endothelial cells. In the center we can see these are the reddish or RBCs, and these are the neutrophils. So neutrophils, they have come to the periphery of the blood vessel in the margin. So this is known as margination, and this is facilitated by the slowing down of blood flow, which is known as stasis. So this is a summary of the vascular reactions from Robbins. So vasodilatation is induced by the chemical mediators. You have to learn histamine, and it is a cause of erythema and stasis of the blood flow. Now increased permeability of blood vessels, it is caused by histamine, kinins, and other mediators, and they will produce gap between the endothelial cells. So interendothelial gaps will increase, and it can also be caused by the directly leukocyte induced endothelial injury or endothelial cell necrosis. So the blood vessels will become leaky and it will cause increased passage of the fluids through the endothelium. Now when the vascular permeability is increased, it will cause the plasma proteins and WBCs along with the mediators of host defense to escape the blood vessel and reach the site of infection, and this will result in exudates and subsequently edema. Lymphatic vessels and lymph nodes, they are also sometimes involved in the inflammation and they can show redness, swelling. So clinical terms are lymphangitis and lymphadenitis. So these are the references. In the next lecture, I'll be covering the cellular events of inflammation. Thank you.